Right. Maybe for 1 or 2 minutes and we'll get started. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाकं वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं गौनयाते परां गतिं वेदवेदे परे पुंसे जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसात् आसीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमदिपाटनालनं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमानन्दनम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् जयत्राश्रतसन्त्रासध्वान्तविध्वांसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं श्रीराम नाम वरानने. Hare Krishna. We are continuing Uttarakanda of the Valmiki Ramayana. And the Uttarakanda has multiple sections. The first section is the origin of the Rakshasas and Ravana's power. And right after that, we will be seeing the greatness of Hanuman. Actually, we will touch upon that section today itself, hopefully. And the final section is the separation of Sita and Ram, in the sense that Sita goes to Valmiki's ashram, and later Ramachandra gets to hear the Ramayana from Lava and Kusha, and Sita enters Earth. So like this, the Uttarakhand has many sections, and each of these sections give answers to the whys of Ramayana. So it is very important to study the Uttarakhand. Okay, having said that, we can proceed further. This is the summary of what has happened so far. The very first verse of the Uttarakanda Ramayana begins with the glorious rule of Lord Sri Ramachandra. Praptarajasya Ramasya Rakshasan Vadhe Krite Ajagamurishayah Sarve Ragavam Pratinanditum. So when Ramachandra got the Rajya, everybody was happy. Like, how did he get the Rajya? After he killed all the Rakshasas. And after he killed the Rakshasas, everyone was happy. And who came to see him? It was the sages. The sages, they were extremely delighted for Sri Ramchandra, and they wanted to have a nice conversation with him. And these different sages came from all directions, like Kaushika, Kanva, Atri, Kashyapa, Vishwamitra, headed by Bharadwaj and Agastya. Basically, Agastya was the one who was asking questions. So they all came to the kingdom of Lord Sri Ramachandra. When they came, Lord Ramachandra went to the entrance and he welcomed them. He inquired from the sages about their well-being, and the sages started to glorify Sri Rama. So they said, we are so happy that you have killed Ravan, and especially we are happy that you have killed Indrajit and you have acquired this kingdom. So when Ram heard, especially Indrajit, he wanted to know what was so special about Indrajit. Why are the sages so terrified of Indrajit? And that is when the sages begin to tell the history of the Rakshasas. So they say that there was this sage by the name Pulatsya who was created by Brahma. And from Pulatsya, there is this from Pulatsya, Vishravas was born. And from Vishravas, we saw how Vaishravana was born, who was none other than Kuvera. And Vishravas also got a second wife by the name Kaikasi. And from Kaikasi, actually, the Rakshasa by the name Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan as well as Shurpanaka were born. So like this, he tells that the origin of Ravan is actually from Pulatsya Rishi. Ravana is actually a grandson of Pulatsya Rishi. So he talks a little bit about how Kuvera was born, and how Kuvera and Ravana, both of them were actually half brothers. brothers. Okay. Now, when he wanted to know more about the exact origin of the Rakshasas, Ramachandra was very curious how come this Lanka was given to Kuvera, but it originally belonged to the Rakshasas. So, Agastya Muni had mentioned that Kuvera, when he had become old enough, he became a Lokapalaka and he went and lived in Lanka. Lanka was given to him by his father. But then this Lanka originally belonged to the Rakshasas. That was a statement that was made. So Ramchandra was very curious. How come I thought the Rakshasas, the power of the Rakshasas and everything that we hear of is directly only from Ravana and his generation. So these Rakshasas were present much before Ravan. Then what is the origin of the Rakshasas and how come they were in Lanka? This was the question asked. So at that time, our Agastya Muni, he begins to talk about the first origin of the Rakshasas. So he says actually when Brahma created he created a class of people called as the Rakshasas. There were two brothers who were originally present. Their name were Heti and Praheti. Praheti was performing penance while Heti, he got married with Bhaya, who's the sister of Kala, and he begot a son by the name Vidyut Kesha. And this Vidyut Kesha, he had a son, and this son was found by Lord Shiva and Parvati because the parents abandoned Vidyut Kesha's son. So this son's name was Sukesha. Now this Sukesha, he had special blessings from Lord Shiva, and he had three sons, Mali, Sumali, and Malyavan. So these three brothers, they grew up to be very, very powerful Rakshasas. And we also saw that we hear the names Mali, Sumali, and Malyavan even in Bhagavatam. So Lanka is a place that was awarded to these three brothers, originally by Brahma. Okay. So with the help of Vishwakarma, the city of Lanka originated for the sake of these three brothers. So they built the city and they lived here happily. But then there was a war between the demigods and the demons, and Vishnu appeared in the battlefield. And Vishnu beheaded Mali. And how he beheaded Mali? When Mali was running away from the battlefield. So it was not a very dharmic act as per the Kshatriya codes. But then Lord Narayan says that is how I protect my devotees. If there is a tiger that comes and attacks a cow, you think I will go in front of the tiger face to face and kill the tiger? No, the tiger has to be killed from behind. So, like that, this is Narayan Dharma, this is Sharanagati Dharma. Sharanagati Dharma is greater than Kshatriya Dharma. So he says, whatever it takes, I will protect the demigods. So now what happened? Mali was killed, but then Somali and Malyavan, they ran and first they go to Lanka and then they decide to vacate Lanka and they went and lived in the lower planetary systems in Rasatal. So meanwhile, it so happened that in that interim period when they were missing from Lanka, that is when this land of Lanka was awarded to Kuvera. Okay. So Agastya Muni, he clarifies this to Lord Ramachandra. Now, what happened after that is that Sumali, after many, many years, what he does is he takes his daughter, very beautiful daughter, and he goes around in the earthly realm trying to find a suitable match for his beautiful daughter. So his daughter's name is Kaikasi. And he sees that Kuvera comes to pay obeisances to his father Vishravas, and this Sumali is thinking that the ideal match for Kaikasi would actually be this Vishravas himself, because then Kaikasi can also have illustrious sons like Kuvera. But she approaches the sage at a wrong period of time, and it is destined that she would have demoniac sons. So, who are the demoniac sons? The demoniac sons are Dashagriva and Kumbhakarna. But at the same time, because she feels remorseful, she is also blessed to have another son who is very, very virtuous, and that is Vibhishan. And they also have a daughter by the name Shurpanaka. Now, since early childhood, the seed of envy was planted in the heart of Dashagriva. So, Dashagriva was always compared with Kuvera, and he was told that he should become like him. And also, the uncles had an effect. Generally, even in Bhagavatam, we see that the boy is always getting the characteristics from his uncle, his nature. This actually comes in which Charitra it comes, I don't remember exactly. Maybe Vena's story. Somewhere there, you see that there is a high possibility that a boy gets his nature from his mama or his uncle, mother's brother. So this mother's brother, he comes and continuously mother's brother and sorry, not just mother's brother, but mother's fathers, Sumali and Malyavan. They come and they try to influence Ravan in various ways. And eventually, Ravan is convinced by Prahasta that he should be the one who's actually going to take away Lanka and he should become the king of Lanka. But before he acquires Lanka, what does he do? Ravan, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan, they all go and they perform several austerities and they get boons. The boons that Dashagriva gets is that he wants immortality, but then Brahma says, I cannot give immortality. So Ravan says, I don't want to be killed by any kind of species. And he says, I don't care about humans because they are too weak for me and I can handle them. Kumbhakarna, he wants to ask Nirdevatvam, but then Saraswati Devi changes that to Nidrevatvam. And then you have Vibhishan who asks for a very beautiful boon that even under trying circumstances, I should always stand by Dharma. So now, after he became very powerful, he was brainwashed by his maternal uncles and grandfathers and everybody, and then he's asked to take back this Lanka, and he goes and tells Kuvera that Kuvera should beg it, and Kuvera leaves for Kailash. Who tells is actually not directly Ravan, but Prahasta goes as a messenger, and he tells that Ravan is our new king. He wants Lanka back. It originally belonged to us, so you vacate. And then he goes and asks his father. Kubera asks his father Vishravas. Vishravas says, you go off to Kailash and there nobody will bother you. So he goes near Kailash area, and to this day we know Kubera lives in that place. Now this Maya Danava, he's another Danava, he had a daughter by the name Mandodari. Now, once Mayadanava was roaming around with his daughter Mandodari, and Ravan happened to see her. And Ravan, he became very, very attracted. And he asked Mayadhanava about the identity of the girl and himself. And he introduces himself as the grandson of Pulatsya. And Mayadhanava is also very impressed. And they immediately invoke a sacred fire and they get married there. Maidanava also tells a story that he was once wedded to Hema, and with Hema he had this daughter, but Hema has gone to the abode of the demigods to serve them, and I am just left with this daughter, so I'm happy to give this daughter in marriage. Now, he also says that he had two other sons, Mayavi and Dundubi, besides Mandodari. This is Maidanava who says. And then he gives away his daughter in marriage to Ravan. So Ravan and Mandodari, they have a son by the name Meghanad, the one whose voice is like the rumbling of the clouds. So we stopped there and now we have to continue from here. So usually I take about 15-20 minutes for summary, but I think it is worthwhile because we can we can remember what we covered last time and continue from there. So now, Indrajita is born. Now remember remember Kumbhakarna, he had a curse. What was the curse that he received? Actually, he wanted a boon of Nirdevatvam, but it ended up being a curse, Nidrevatvam. That means he got only sleep. But then Ravan intervened and he asked Brahma to allow his brother to wake up once in 6 months. So this was granted to him. And now Kumbhakarna, he wanted to sleep nicely, because if you're going to sleep for 6 months, you want a nice, comfortable place where you will not be disturbed. So he requests his brother to build him a very nice, comfortable residence so that he could sleep undisturbed. And Ravana, he builds a nice mansion within a cave on top of a mountain. And this is nicely bedecked with gold and diamonds and crystals and other gems. Actually, in Lanka, they identify one cave like this to be the Kumbhakarna cave. And it is actually on top of a mountain, and it is a very huge cave. They identify this place. It's called as the Kumbhakarna cave, if I'm not wrong, but we didn't go there. But it is somewhere in, if I'm not wrong, in the northeastern part of Lanka. Okay. But we have not been there, and I think it's all abandoned, and it is not like how it is described here. It was decked with gold, diamond, crystals, and other gems, and it was a very, very opulent cave inside. So, like this, when Kumbhakarna was sleeping for months together, Ravan, he would go ahead and he would start conquering everybody. He was very powerful. He went around challenging many, many people, especially his aim was the demigods. So he went and he conquered the demigods. He was destroying the rishis, the Gandharvas, and everybody. He was inviting everyone for wars. And hearing about these different exploits of Ravan, Kuvera, who's a well-wisher and his half-brother, he wanted to give some good advice to his brother. So he sent a messenger to Ravan's house or Ravan's palace, and the messenger told this message. The message read, "My dear brother Ravan, I came to know about all your exploits and how you have destroyed the Nandana gardens of the demigods and you have brought them under your subjugation. I've also heard about how you're troubling the rishis. But however, you should remember that you are the very grandson of Pulatsya Rishi. So it is proper for you to keep up the name of our lineage. You cannot behave like this. I am also getting a news that the demigods are very upset with you and they are planning to go against you. They are planning to wage a war against you. I have the responsibility to correct you and bring you to the right path. And please stop all this. Don't become an enemy to the demigods. And then he tells his own experience. Kuvera not only corrects his younger brother, but he also speaks of his own experience and the repercussions that he had to face because of certain mistakes he did. So he said, once when I was traveling in Mount Kailash, I happened to see Lord Shiva with Parvati Devi, and I started glancing on Parvati Devi out of curiosity. And at that time, my left eye became scorched and my right eye became grayish. So almost like I lost my sight because I made an offense. I made an offense by glancing at a chaste woman. And because of this, I went and performed austerities for 800 years. And finally, Lord Shiva became pleased with me. He came in front of me and he told me that I can live for a long time and he will be very friendly towards me. And he gave me the name Ekakshi Pingali. That means one whose eyes has turned gray. And then, after securing the friendship of Lord Shiva, I became more powerful. So, I'm coming to tell you this message that you should be very careful when you're dealing with great personalities. Refrain from such kind of unrighteous behavior that is bringing bad name to the family. So when Ravan heard all this advice, he became very, very enraged. And this advice was sent through a messenger, right? So Ravan started challenging the messenger. He said, "Who do you think you are? And who do you think that Kuvera is? Just because he's my half brother, it doesn't mean that he can give me such kind of advice." And he gets very angry and he takes a sword and he chops off the head of the messenger and he throws the corpse of the messenger for all the Rakshasas to eat because Rakshasas would eat human meat, right? So he throws the corpse for the Rakshasas. And this was his nature. It is, and also this is not the first time Ravan was misbehaving with a messenger. So it is dharma that one doesn't punish a messenger. I mean, one doesn't kill a messenger. You can at most punish him or disgrace him, but you cannot kill him. Even when Hanuman went as a messenger, he wanted to kill Hanuman, but then Vibhishan said, "No, you can only punish him, you cannot kill him," and his tail was lit on fire. So, anyway, Ravan, he killed the messenger and he walked towards Kuvera's abode, and he started fighting. He waged a war with Kuvera and his messengers. So there were many, many yakshas headed by Manibhadra and others who had a very terrible fight with the Rakshasas. And this is called as Rakshasa Yaksha Yuddha. It is mentioned in many scriptures, and it is a war that was full of magical warfare. So Ravan, because of the boons that he had acquired, he created all sorts of magical weaponry. Suddenly, from the arrows, the heads of many animals would emanate. The heads of Rakshasas would emanate. It would rain stool and pus and whatnot. So this kind of magical warfare was fought, and Ravana was successful. He suppressed his brother, and then at this time he sees the Pushpaka chariot. So the Pushpak Viman, remember when Kuvera performed austerities, Pushpaka Viman was awarded to him by Brahma. So this Pushpaka Viman was seized, or it was captured forcibly by Ravan at the end of the Rakshasa Yaksha Yuddha. And then he proceeds towards, in his Pushpaka, newly acquired Pushpaka Viman, Ravan begins to travel all around the universe. So one day in his Pushpaka Viman, he went towards the region of the Sharavana. Sharavana means a vana or a forest full of shara. Shara is golden colored reeds. Okay. And who lives there? It is Kartikeya, right? Kartikeya was born in Sharavana. So he was trying to fly over Sharavana, and suddenly the airplane stopped moving. Why did it stop moving? Because it was the region of Kailash. You all know nothing can fly on top of Kailash mountain. It is actually unlawful also today for even anything to fly over Kailash, or for anyone to step in Kailash, right? It's unlawful by all the countries. But this airplane just stopping in this area, and he was very perplexed why his airplane was not moving. And he saw Nandishwar. He had the vision to see Nandishwar, who's an attendant of Lord Shiva. And Nandishwar, he had a very dreadful appearance. He had a yellowish black complexion. He had shaven head. He had very short arms. And he goes and he asks Nandishwar, "Hey, who are you? And why am I not able to fly over this place?" So that is when Nandishwar, he told that this is Kailash and it belongs to Lord Shankara. And Kailash is not accessible to anyone or everyone, and no creature without proper authority or proper piety can actually enter Kailash or place their foot on Kailash. So, hearing these words, Ravana was very, very agitated. And he was like, "Who is this Shankara? And who are you?" And he looked at Nandishwar's face and he said, "You look like a monkey." And he started laughing at his appearance. And because he was laughing at his appearance and making fun of him, at this point in time, Nandishwar curses, saying that your death will be because of monkeys. Monkey race will be responsible for your destruction. So this is the first curse he receives. And then he was very envious, and he said, "Who's this Shankara? Who's this Shiva? He thinks he's more powerful than me." He says that, and he tries to put his fingers beneath the Kailash and he tries to lift Kailash, saying that I can lift this hill. And he violently shakes Kailash by pressing his fingers through the bottom. And when the entire hill shook, actually Parvati, she slips and she clings onto Lord Shiva. She was completely shaken up. And Lord Maheshwara, he saw this, and with the big toe of his feet, he just pressed the mountain down, and that crushed the fingers of Ravana, who was trying to lift up this Kailash. and the Rakshasas who were surrounding Ravan were shocked. Actually, the entire world was shaking. Ravana was screaming. He was not Ravan yet. His name was Dashagriva. He was screaming, and all the yakshas, Gandharvas, Siddhas, everybody was alerted, and they saw the pitiable condition of Ravan. And they said, Ravan, now you cannot escape. This is the biggest offense. You have tried to shake up Kailash, and see what has happened to you. Don't mess with Lord Shiva. Now you cannot escape unless you take refuge of Lord Shiva. In all humility, you must beg Lord Shiva to forgive you. And understanding that he cannot relieve his hands from that place, Ravan, he begins glorification of Lord Shiva from the Samaveda. So he sings the songs from the Samaveda for thousands of years. And then, after several thousands of years, Lord Shiva was pacified, and he released his fingers from beneath Mount Kailash, and he gives him the name Ravana. Ravana means the one who made the entire world terrorized by his cries. Okay, so he's called as Ravana. Then he says to Ravan, you are now free to go. And he had a very nice blessing from Lord Shiva. Shiva blessed him to have a long life. And Shiva also presents him a sword called as Chandrahasa. So with this Chandrahasa sword, he has fought in the battle. If you remember in Yuddha Kanda, he was using his sword Chandrahasa. So this was a gift from Lord Shiva. So he received a curse from Nandishwara. He offended Shiva, but at the same time, he also praised Shiva with Samagana, and Shiva was eventually pleased. Shiva is very fond of Samagana, actually. So he was very, very pleased, and he blesses him and he gives him Chandrahasa. So now he proceeded further, and one day, Ravan, when he was strolling through the Himalayas, he comes up across a very, very beautiful maiden doing austerities. And she was the daughter of a sage by the name Kushatdwaja. And her name was Vedavati. So, this is the same Vedavati that we also saw in the Yukta Kanda. Why was she Vedavati? Because she was not born of a womb, rather, she was born when the Rishi was reciting the Vedas. Her body was full of, it was an embodiment of the Vedas, hence she's called as Vedavati. And this Kushadwaja was actually a son of Brihaspati. So, in one sense, she was the granddaughter of Brihaspati, and she had taken a vow to marry only Narayana because she was no ordinary woman. So, she was performing austerities. Now, Ravan, he saw this beautiful woman and he started asking her identity, and he said he wanted to marry her, but she said, don't talk to me like that because I'm doing austerities, and and I am only meant to be married to Lord Narayan. But then what did Ravan do? He forcibly seized her by her hair, and when her hair was pulled, it is considered as the greatest disgrace to pull a woman by her hair. The same thing happened with Draupadi as well. She was pulled by the hair. It is considered very, very offensive. So what she did was her hand transformed into a sword. She severed her hair, declaring that she would be the reason for his death, and her body, the Jatara, I mean the Agni in her body burst her body into flames, and she gave up her body through a yogic process. This same Vedavati, you all already know, was the Sita, Maya Sita. But then there is another little short birth for her. She, as soon as she gave up her body like this and her body transformed into flames, she was reborn as a girl by the name Padma Samudbhava. Okay. She was born in a lotus, and she somehow or the other came to Lanka. Now, this story is actually from the commentaries, and it is also there in Puranas. Okay, so directly Uttarakanda doesn't talk about Padma Samudbhava, but the commentators speak. Govindaraja speaks of it, and he also quotes the various Puranas that there was an interim birth of hers, which is where she was born in a lotus flower, and somehow she was taken to Lanka and she was presented in front of Ravan, and then Ravan wanted to take her. But then the minister of Ravan advised him, saying that looking at the symptoms, he was like he could make some predictions. He said, looking at the symptoms, it is appearing to me that this child or whoever this is from the lotus should not be taken, because she will become a source of destruction for Lanka. So the child was abandoned, thrown away. And that child later again appeared from earth when Janaka Maharaj was plowing the land, and in the furrow of the land when Janaka was plowing, at that time she came as Sita. Sita means furrow. So she appeared from the furrow of the land and she came to be known as Sita. So these are the three different births of this Vedavati. Okay, so Vedavati has cursed that your death will be because of me. Now, after this, there is a small deviation, and this is about the blessings that Indra and the demigods give to various animals. Okay, this is interesting. So now Ravan, he proceeded towards the region where King Marutta was performing a great sacrifice with sage Samvarta and his brother Brihaspati. You have all heard about Marutta's great sacrifice. Even in Mahabharata, we hear that Arjuna's called as Dhananjaya because he went and he obtained the wealth that was left in Marutta's sacrifice. You must have heard about the story. It is a very ancient story. He had performed sacrifice several thousand years ago, and when he was performing that sacrifice, at that time, this Ravana, he went to that area. Okay, and so many demigods had come to attend the sacrifice. And seeing that many demigods had come, Ravana wanted to show off his prowess, and he went there to disturb the sacrifice of Marutta. Hmm? So, seeing Ravana, the demigods, they got very scared, because as it is, the demigods had seen his power earlier. So they got very, very scared, and they wanted to escape his view. That is, they didn't want to be spotted by Ravan. So Indra, he takes the form of a peacock. Yamaraj takes the form of a crow. Kuvera takes the form of a chameleon, and Varunadev takes the form of a swan. Why did they take these forms? Because they wanted to escape the sight of Ravan. They wanted to escape, so they acted like there are some animals in that area. And so, what did Ravan do? Ravan went and approached King Marutta and challenged him to fight. And at that time, King Marutta was so angry, he picks up his sword. But then his guru Samvarta stopped him and told him, if he takes any harsh actions like this, the sacrifice will be wasted. Because the one who has taken the vow to do the sacrifice should sit there, he should not be fighting. Otherwise, the sacrifice goes for a waste. So Marutta, he just withdrew. He accepted defeat, and he told Ravan, "Okay, you're the winner. You can go." And then Ravan was his ego was appeased, and he goes away. So after Ravan goes away, then the demigods, they assume their original forms. Now, at that time, after the demigods assumed their original form, at that time, Indra, he blessed the peacocks. Why did Indra bless the peacocks? Because Indra took the form of a peacock, and the peacock body or the peacock form was the thing that saved him. So, as a mark of gratitude, Indra, he gives the peacocks a blessing that there will be no fear from snakes for them. You see, snakes, snakes are captured by peacocks. Like, for example, Lord Kartikeya, he rides on a peacock. And if you see that peacock, the peacock will have one snake in the claws and one snake in the beak. Right? So, peacocks are not afraid of snakes. Then, the spots resembling the thousand eyes of Indra would appear on their feathers. This was, you see this beautiful picture here. You see the spots like eyes. Peacock's feathers have eyes, they say, right? Eyes that cannot see. but they're so beautiful. So, like this, Indra has 1,000 eyes on his body. So, that was awarded to the peacocks. So, the peacocks started having these thousands of eyes on their feathers. It is mentioned that before they obtained this gift from Indra, they were plain blue. Peacocks were just bluish color, bluish purple color, full, plain. Even the feathers also, they didn't have these eyes. But after this boon was given, they started having these eyes. And they also, Indra also told, whenever there is rain, you will rejoice by dancing and showing your joy for me, because I am the one who's sending the rain. So when Indra showers rain, they are so happy and they are expressing their love for Indra by spreading their feathers and dancing. So this is the boon given to the peacocks. And then next one, the next animal. Let's see, what was the next animal? The next one, Yamaraj. Okay. Yamaraj, he blesses the crows because Yamaraj took the form of a crow. Now, it is interesting that crows generally do not get many diseases. I didn't know that, but this is what scripture says. Crows do not get diseases that torment other creatures. And this everybody knows that when crows are fed, people who are in Yamaraj's domains who and the Pitris, they will be satisfied by the hunger. So basically, that's why it is a tradition, right? When you do, you're supposed to go and feed the crows. You have to go and keep a bowl of rice for the crows, which means your ancestors are getting pacified, right? So that is a tradition that is followed in India even to this day. That is because of a blessing that was given by Yamraj, that all your ancestors will be satisfied and pacified when you feed crows. Then Varuna. Varuna, he blessed the swans because he took the form of a swan. That hereafter you will have a fresh white color like the moon, and they would look very, very beautiful when they are in contact with waters. Apparently, swans earlier, they were not pure white. The tips of their wings were blackish and their breasts were dark brown. This is how the swans were in an earlier time. But then after this beautiful boon from Varuna Dev, they became pure white. Then Kuvera, who was the son of Vaishravana, what form did he take? He took the form of a chameleon. So he told the chameleon species that I'm very pleased with you, and hereafter I give you a golden color. Your dark color will be transformed. So like this, all the demigods, they gave different boons to all these creatures, and they went back to their abode without being tormented by Ravan. Now, once Ravana, he was roaming around and he comes across Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Sri Ramachandra. At that time, the king of Ayodhya was a king by the name Anaranya. Okay. Every time I have problem with his name, Anaranya. So when he saw Anaranya, he challenged him for a battle, and they had a very, very fierce battle. And Ravan wounded this king Anaranya. And when the king was fatally fallen in the battlefield, at that time he was insulted by Ravan, and he curses Ravan, saying that in the future, one of my descendants in my dynasty by the name Rama will kill you. So this is another curse that he obtains. So he's already obtained many curses. Now this is the next curse. So all these curses pretty much come together. Nandishwara told him you'll be killed by Vanaras. Anaranya says somebody in my dynasty will kill you. Vedavati says that she will be the cause of his death. So like that, he keeps receiving these curses. So while this curse was given, again, flowers rained from the heaven and the demigods started beating their drums because they knew that Ravan would eventually be killed and a person would be born to kill Ravana. Because at this point in time, they were under the impression Ravan is almost unconquerable. Then Ravan, he goes ahead, he tries to challenge many people. He challenges Yamaraj, and he would have been vanquished, but then Lord Brahma comes and stops Yamaraj from using his Kaladanda. Yamaraj was so annoyed with Ravan that he wanted to use his Kaladanda, and kill Ravan. But then Yamaraj comes and he refrains him from doing that at this point in time. Because again, his death was reserved to be done in a different way. And also, there was a lot of representation to Brahma, a lot of recommendations from Sage Pulatsya and others to stop Yamraj from using the Brahmadanda. Then later, Ravan he defeats the sons of Varuna, and while returning to Lanka uh, after all his exploits, actually he kidnaps the virgin daughters of many kings, many rishis, demigods, and asuras, and he puts them in the Pushpak Viman, and he took hundreds and thousands of girls by force to Lanka. So this also we have seen in Sundarakanda, if you remember, that there were so many women of different kinds. Some were demigods' daughters, some were daughters of great rishis, some were daughters of kings, and so on. Hundreds and thousands of women, whomever he found attractive, whomever he wanted. Pretty much he captured any girl who was ready, who was marriageable. So he would just take away any girl by force. So that is what he did. And you see this picture, his entire Pushpak Viman is packed with so many women who are crying. So, like this, he took away so many women. And being saddened, all these kidnapped girls, they also cursed Ravan, saying, may the destruction of this wicked Rakshasa one day come about by the cause of a woman. So, they also said the same thing, and that a woman will be the cause of his destruction. And immediately there were flowers that were showered by from heaven. And after being cursed like this by so many women, he started losing his bodily luster. Then he continued, he didn't stop his conquest. He continued, and one day during a big battle, on by chance, Ravan, in a haste, he kills the husband of Shurpanaka. Shurpanaka is his own sister. If I'm not wrong, her husband's name was Vidyut Jihva. There's another Rakshasa, Vidyut Jihva. He should not be confused with Shurpanaka's husband. This Vidyujeva, he was already killed by Ravan. And she was shocked. She wails and she cries and she tells how cruel you are and all that. But then Ravana tells that actually, please don't be so upset. I will satisfy all your desires. In the heat of the battle, I couldn't distinguish between my people and the enemies. And by mistake, I killed your husband. And later, he tells her to take shelter of Karadoshan, and he tells that our half brothers, Karadoshan, will take care of you. So please don't be so upset, and everything will be fine with you. So that's how Shurpanaka, she later takes shelter of the region of Chanastan. Then Ravana, yeah, he sends Shurpanaka. Now, once Ravana, he was again enjoying in a beautiful place where some of these Apsara ladies would come and sport. And this was quite close to Kuvera's palace in that region near the Himalayas. And at that time, this Apsara by the name Rambha, she had come to this beautiful place, and Ravan saw Rambha's beautiful features, and he was very, very eager to acquire her by force. And Ravan asked her that you have to become my wife. And Rambha, she angrily tells, don't talk to me like this. You're like my father, and I am your daughter in law. And Ravan started laughing. He said, only if my son has married you, you can become my daughter in law. How come you're my daughter in law? And that is when Ramba says, you should understand that I am the lawful wife of Nalakuvara. And who's Nalakuvara? Nalakuvara is the son of Kuvera. Kuvera is your brother. So technically, I am your daughter in law. So you should follow proper etiquette and let me go. But then Ravan, he was so overcome by lust, he said, your argument, applies only to women with one husband. But you Apsaras, what you're telling Nalakuvara as your husband, you're only an Apsara. You don't have to worry about so much morality. So after saying that, Ravan, he forcefully pulls down Ramba on a rock, and he enjoys her without her consent. And after she was released, she goes and she complains to Nalakuvara. and she tells him what happened. And Nalakuvara becomes very outraged to hear about Ravan's misconduct. And he went into a meditation to understand what really happened. And he could understand that Ravan had forced himself on Rambha. And Nalakuvara touches water and pronounces a curse that Ravan's head will split into 7 parts if he ever again tries to forcibly be with a woman against her will. So this was the next curse. The demigods, they were all very, very happy to hear this declaration, and they showered flowers upon Nalakuvara. Then Ravan, he learned of the curse and he gave up all inclination to have any such relationships with women, especially if they were against it. Then the next morning, Ravan, he took his forces and he went and attacked Indra. And many of the demigods, they went and approached Vishnu, and they tell Vishnu that this Ravan, he has gotten so many benedictions from Brahma, and please empower us in a way that we can kill him, or you take up the matter yourself. You yourself deal with this. That is when Vishnu tells them, there is no need for you to be afraid. Go and fight with Ravan. You cannot kill him, but there will be a time when it is ripe, and I will come and I will kill Ravan along with all his relatives. So this boon was later given by Vishnu that he himself will come and he will deal with Ravan. So the battle continued between the demigods and Ravan, and Meghanadha, the son of Ravan, he was fighting with Indra's son Jayanta. And the battle was going on for a very long time. It was a well-matched battle. And then Ravan was getting restless and he started using, not Ravan, Indrajit, Ravan's son, he started using magical warfare. And finally, Jayanta, he falls down, he actually falls ill. And seeing this condition, Puloma, who is Shachi Devi's father, the father of Indra's wife Shachi Devi, she came, Puloma, he came and he forcibly grabbed his grandson by the hair and dragged him away from the battlefield and saved Jayanta. So Jayanta was rescued by Puloma. Now Ravan, he comes to fight with Indra, and at this time Meghanad, invisibly, he goes between the demigods before Indra, and he starts releasing a series of arrows, and he binds up Indra, and he takes Indra captive to Lanka. So who did this? Indra. Indra bound up, Meghanad. Meghanadha or Indrajit, he binds up Indra, he takes Indra captive and he takes him to Lanka. That's why from that day Meghanad was called as Indrajit, the one who had conquered Indra. So now Brahma, he got to know that the demigods were in trouble and Indra was held captive by Meghanad. So Brahma went running to Lanka, and Brahma, he tells Ravan that Brahma tells Ravan that you have to release Indra. This is not correct. And at that time, Indrajit said, I will give Indra if you give me something in exchange. What is it that he asks in exchange? He asks for immortality. But again, Brahma says it is not possible. I cannot give you immortality. Then Brahma is asked by Indrajit that I have a unique request. The request is that at the time of battle, if I offer oblations to the sacrificial fire, a chariot should emerge from that flames. And as long as I am seated on the chariot and my sacrifice is complete, I will become immune to death. So if I engage in the battle without having finished my chanting mantras and offering oblations, I can be subject to destruction. So this is the Nikumbhila sacrifice that we are talking about. So Indrajit, he had taken this boon from Brahma that if I have successfully completed the Nikumbhila sacrifice, and from there the chariot emerges and I sit in the chariot, and after I cross a certain point, I will become completely immortal, right? So this is what was advised by Vibhishan to Lakshman, when Lakshman had to finally kill Indrajit, this is what was told to him, that he will become immortal. So you go immediately and stop him from performing that sacrifice, divert him, and that is the best way to kill him. So, like this, Indrajit, he has acquired this boon. And Brahma, he has granted Indrajit's request, and Indra was released. So, remember the first conversation between Agastya and Rama. What was the conversation about? Ramachandra asked, why do you say that Indrajit was so powerful and it was so difficult to conquer him? So, now Agastya gives that answer. The answer is that Ravana had so many curses, he could have died anyways. But then this Indrajit, he had a very, very powerful boon that he could become unconquerable. But we are so happy that Lakshmana very, very intelligently went, stopped him, and killed him. So Ramachandra, he was listening to this from Agastya and he was thinking, wow, that is very, very nice. Now, Ramchandra, he had other questions. So he asks, oh, best of rishis, Agastya, is there ever a Kshatriya who was able to defeat Ravan? You said Ravan has defeated so many people. So tell me, is there any Kshatriya who was successful? Then Agastya, he spoke about the story of how Kartavirya Arjuna, the king of the Haihayas, he had captured Ravana and he had tied him up after a fierce battle. When Pulatsya Muni, he went to Mahishmati, he asked for his grandson's release, that his grandson is Ravan. At that time, Kartavirya Arjuna finally gave in and he allowed Ravan to go. Um, so this we have heard the story of Kartavira Arjuna was later subjugated by Parashurama. We heard this in the Bhagavatam. But Kartavira Arjuna had subjugated Ravana. Okay, so this was the one king who was successful over Ravana. And Agastya Muni also mentions not only Kartavirya Arjuna, but there was another personality. And who is he? Sometime later, Ravana, he went to Kishkinda and he wanted to fight with Vali. And when he heard that the king of the Vanaras, Vali, was not available in that area and he had gone to the shore of the ocean to perform Sandhya Vandana, Ravana quietly he went there. He quietly went to one of the ocean side where Vali was performing his meditation, and he saw that Vali was absorbed in chanting his prayers and desiring to capture Vali. Ravana silently he started very quietly walking behind him from behind. He started approaching him from behind. And Vali was sitting and chanting his mantras. But Vali, he was just finished chanting his mantras, and from the corner of his eye, he could see that somebody is quietly approaching him from back. So Ravana's intention was to go and capture Vali. Instead, what did Vali do? Vali thought in his mind, I will capture this Rakshasa when he comes close to me and I will keep him in my armpit. So, like this, when Ravana approached Vali from behind, Vali, when he heard the footsteps, Vali quickly, swiftly, he captured this Rakshasa king Ravana. He put him in his armpit and he sprang from one ocean to the other. Because this is the description that Sugriva also gives in Kishkinda Kanda. Sugriva says, my brother Vali, he can do Sandhya Vandana. He does, to do Sandhya Vandana, he goes to all the oceans. He goes to 4 different oceans and he performs. So, like that, keeping Ravan in his armpit, he was jumping from one ocean to the other. And by the time he returned back to Kishkinda, Vali was exhausted carrying this Ravan around and he puts him down in a garden. And Ravana was completely dazed. He was completely dazed, and Vali was laughing at him. And Ravan was actually not only dazed, but he was also admiring Vali. He was so blown away by Vali's power and especially by his speed. He was jumping in the air so quickly from one ocean to the other. So he said, you're an exceptional hero, and it is my strong desire to maintain friendship with you. See, Ravana submitted to Vali and they wanted to have friendship with each other. What kind of friendship? They lit a fire, they went around the fire and formally declared their friendship, just like how Sugriva and Ramchandra declared their friendship by going around the fire. And what was the deal? They decided that they will not question each other's actions. That's why when Sita was taken away by Ravana, and they moved on top of Kishkinda, at that time Bali did not question. He knew Ravana is taking Sita, but he did not question. And in fact, Ravana stayed in Kishkinda for 1 full month, and he was honored as a guest by Bali. And then uh, Ramchandra, when he heard this from Agastya Muni is telling him all these stories, right? So when he heard the story of Kartavirya, Arjuna, and Bali, that they were practically stronger than Ravan, he was amazed. But then he was thinking, yeah, I understand Vali is very, very powerful. But then I think more than Vali was Hanuman. Hanuman's power excels the power of all the Vanaras. He says, during my conquest of Lanka, it was him alone, it was Hanuman alone who helped me to come out successful. And moreover, he's the best of all my servants. So, if he had a question now, Ramchandra was thinking Hanuman was actually the most powerful. And he had another question in his mind that actually, when there was a fight between Vali and Sugriva, maybe Sugriva was not able to conquer Vali, but uh, how come Hanuman didn't conquer Vali? Because Hanuman was always on the side of Sugriva. So Hanuman could have easily conquered Vali. And how is it that he couldn't help Sugriva conquer him? And why do you say that Vali alone is so powerful and not Hanuman? I feel Hanuman is the most powerful among all the Vanaras. So this was the verdict given by Ram. And now he asks Agastya, so tell me, couldn't have Hanuman actually fought the war on behalf of Sugriv and conquered Vali? He asks this question. And then Ramchandra himself says, maybe Hanuman was not aware of his actual prowess. Otherwise, how can he have stood and just idly watched Sugriv and Vali fight? He would have done anything for his friend. So he would have been the one who would have jumped and fought with Vali and come out victorious. So tell me, what really is this mystery? Actually, Ram knows everything, but he is asking Agastya, tell me the mystery about Hanuman. So narrate the pastimes of Hanuman so that my doubt can be removed. And this is when the birth of Hanuman is described. A part of the story was already mentioned during the Yuddha Kanda by Jambavan to Hanuman. Jambavan reminded Hanuman, right? That time we saw a little bit of the story, but this is more details into his childhood pastimes. Okay, this Uttara Kanda covers more of his childhood pastimes. So the sage Agastya, he became very, very happy when Ram requested him to narrate the glories of Hanuman. So now Agastya said, oh Ram, whatever you said is very true. Nobody is equal to Hanuman in terms of his might, his speed, his intelligence. However, it so happened that there was a curse that was pronounced on him because of which he forgot all his might. So there was a great Vanara king by the name Keshari, and his wife was Anjana Devi. The wind god Vayu Dev, he impregnated Anjana Devi. We have seen the story that she was Punjika Sthala, all that we have seen the story already, but this is only a repetition. And Uttarakanda has other details. Okay. So the wind god Vayu Dev impregnated her and she gave birth to Hanuman. And Hanuman was very, very sweet, but he was a very mischievous kid. He was an hyperactive kid. And one day it so happened that he looked up into the sky and he saw this red colored fruit, which was nothing other than the sun. So, thinking it to be a red colored fruit, he started soaring up into the sky and he flew into the sky chasing after the sun. As he was rising up, nearing the sun, The wind god covered him with a cool breeze and he gave him protection to prevent any kind of scorching on the body of his dear son. But then, incidentally, that day it was an eclipse. So Rahu was scheduled to come and swallow the sun. So Rahu came there and Hanuman was going flying towards the sun, and Rahu got scared. He thought, what is this? I'm seeing a competitor. There is another person who's trying to go and swallow the sun. So I need to go and report this matter to Indra. So Rahu went running to Indra and told him, this time is allotted for me. Only I have the right to cover the sun and I have the right to cause eclipses. But now, have you appointed another Rahu? There is another Rahu who's going towards the sun. Have you given my post to someone else? What's happening here? And then Indra, he was in awe hearing the report. He was shocked. He was surprised. And he said, what? Another Rahu? I have not appointed any other Rahu. And then he sits on his Airavat and he goes towards the sun to see who's that new Rahu who has come to swallow the sun. And when Indra was reaching there on his Airavat near the sun, he saw Hanuman nearing the sun. And Hanuman, when he saw Rahu was coming near the sun, first he thought this instead of the sun, there is a new black fruit. Rahu's blackish in color, right? So he was seeing there was a black fruit that was first coming. Behind him, Indra was closely following. But what did Hanuman see? Hanuman saw a black color fruit coming near a red color fruit. So Hanuman was thinking, this red fruit is now not interesting. There is a new black fruit. So I will run behind the black fruit. And he started chasing Rahu. So Rahu, he was terrified and he started running for his life and he started running towards Indra saying, save me, save me. And Indra, as he was approaching, he was telling, don't worry, I will protect you. And then Hanuman, he saw that the black fruit was running towards a different direction. And from that direction came another huge fruit. And what fruit was this? This was Airavat. It was a big elephant-sized grapefruit. So white fruit. And Hanuman was even more curious and he thought, forget the reddish fruit and the black fruit. And he wanted to run behind the elephant-sized fruit. And like this, in his childlike innocence, as he was going to gulp down Airavat, Indra got very angry and he released the Vajrayudha on to Hanuman. So this Vajrayudha, this thunderbolt, it hit Hanuman's chin. The left side of his jaw was broken and he fell down from the sky onto a rock. And when this had happened, his jaw was broken. He came to be known as Hanuman. Hanuman means one whose jaw is broken. That is the meaning of Hanuman. Otherwise, he's called Anjaneya. And some commentators, they say his name was Sundara. Otherwise, why should Sundara Kanda be called as Sundara? That is another commentary. But then he's called as Anjaneya, Vayuputra. These were his names, Keshari Nandana and so on. But then now he got the name Hanuman because his jaw was broken. So anyhow, he fell down onto the rock and Vayudev, he was so angry because his little son was fallen down and he was terribly injured. So Vayudev got very angry and he decided to stop his functioning. So Vayu assumes five forms: Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana, and Dhyana. So these are the different airs in our body and it has different functions. So what happened, seeing that his son was harmed, Vayudev picked up the child, entered a cave, and he stopped functioning. What does it mean when Vayu stops functioning? Everybody felt choked. Their joints became stiff. All the worlds felt like it. There was no motion. It was like hell. Nobody's, you're not able to breathe. You're not able to release anything. Your joints are stiff. You're not able to blink your eyes. Nothing is possible. All these functions are not possible without Vayu. You can't move your fingers. You cannot excrete. You can't do anything. So the world was in a terrible, terrible condition. And At that time, Brahma, on his part, he came to know about how Vayu was very upset and he goes to the cave to see Vayudev. At that time, Vayu got up, he paid obeisances to Brahma. And Brahma, he lifted up Vayudev. He went and lovingly stroked the head of little Hanuman. And Hanuman, he came back to life, just like how a new crop that is almost dried up suddenly comes back to life when watered. So, seeing his son being brought back to life, Vayudev, again he started functioning, he started circulating himself internally and externally within all living beings. And Brahma, he called on all the demigods and told them, "You all give your blessings to this little child of Vayu." So all the demigods, they appeared on the scene and they went to bless this little child. Indra placed a garland of lotuses and blessed that the child hereafter will be known as Hanuman. Why? Because my thunderbolt broke his chin. So he'll be called as Hanuman. But my thunderbolt cannot do him any harm hereafter. That was the blessing given by Indra. Then the sun god came forward and he blessed him, saying that you will obtain 1/100th part of my brilliance. And when it comes, I will be your guru and I will teach you Shastras. You will become very learned and nobody can match you in your capability of speech and knowledge in scriptures. That's why we say Hanuman is Navavyakaran Pandita. He was extremely well learned and he was personally trained by Sun God himself. Varuna blessed him that death will not occur to him either from his noose or in his waters. Yamaraj said he will have a very long life and the Yamadanda will not harm him and he will be free from diseases. Kuvera said that his mace will not affect him and he will not become tired in the battlefield. And Lord Shiva said he'll be immune from death from his personal weapons. Vishwakarma also said he will have a long life and he'll be immune from the weapons created by Vishwakarma. Brahma also blesses him with a very long life and said that he will be immune to the Brahmastra. And not only that, he will be able to change his form at will. He will be able to go to different places at the speed of light. His movements will not be impeded, and he himself will be very instrumental in pleasing Lord Ram and uprooting the great Rakshasa Ravana. That's why, because this boon was given by Brahma, that Brahmastra cannot do anything to him. That is the reason we see that some people were not affected by Brahmastra, who are Vibhishan, Hanuman, and Jambavan. So these three were not affected by the Brahmastra. Okay, so now he had obtained so many boons. This is a little child with so many blessings. So what happens? He becomes a brat. Huh? He obtained all these different blessings and he started performing so many pranks and he went out of control. He started provoking the sages and again he was warned by Kesari, he was warned by the wind god, he was warned by Anjana Devi. But then he continued to do his disturbances. The sages just couldn't tolerate his disturbances and they wanted to control him. They wanted to teach him a lesson. They didn't want to be too harsh with him. But then, just to control him, they had to pronounce a curse one day. They said, "Oh boy, you are creating too much trouble. So now we have to curse you that you will become unaware of your power for a very long time because you're harassing us. And your strength will be brought back by your memory after you are reminded only." Okay. So the curse was that he will forget his power and till he is reminded of his power. huh? So after he received this curse, Hanuman becomes a very, very calm child, very well-behaved child, and he stopped disturbing all the sages when they were performing sacrifices. So like this, as he grew up, he started developing good friendship with Sugriv, who was the sun god, just like how the wind and the fire have very good friendship. See, without air, without oxygen, the fire cannot burn. When there is wind, the fire flames, they spread like anything. So wind and fire have very good friendship. Similarly, Sugriv and Hanuman, they have very good friendship. So, like this, he became a very good friend of Sugriv. And just like how without air, fire cannot burn, similarly, Sugriva was never without Hanuman. And when the combat between Vali and Sugriv happened, Hanuman remained silent, not revealing his strength, only because of the curse that he had received. So, this is the answer to the question of Ramachandra why Hanuman couldn't intervene because he was not aware. Hanuman was not only great in his strength and valor and speed, but also in knowledge. Hanuman was his teacher. Hanuman was famously known as Navavyakaran Pandita. That means a person who is expert in 9 systems of grammar. His Vedic knowledge was only comparable to Brihaspati. And later, he was reminded by Jambavan about exhibiting his prowess. And that is when he goes and he becomes very, very powerful and he helps Ramachandra regain his wife Sita. And then he helps him win the war. Okay. So now, after Agastya Rishi finished describing the glories of Hanuman, all of them, they were really, really astonished. And all the assembled rishis, they had requested that it was time for them to leave. And Ramachandra said to the sages that now that I have been installed as the king, I want to perform many, many sacrifices for the welfare of the world. So, you rishis, you all please bless me. And soon the rishis, they blessed him that he'll become a very good emperor. They told him that he'll perform as many sacrifices as needed for the welfare of the world, and they proceeded. So the meeting between the rishis and Lord Ramachandra was finished with this. Then it had been about a month since Ram had taken up kingship, and many of his guests, like Janak Maharaj, Kaikeyi's brother, then the Vanaras, and so many other guests who had come for the coronation of Ram, slowly started taking leave of Ram. Time rolled by after this incident. And Bharata, he came to Ram and he began to glorify him of his rule of the kingdom. He said, "Oh, my dear brother, just a little more than a month has passed since your coronation, and already there is complete absence of disease, untimely death, and labor pain for women." Wow, that's interesting. So, all this had happened within 1 month of Ramarajya. Bharata was so happy. He said, "The clouds are showering rain at the proper time, and all the people are in a joyous state of mind." Ram was very, very pleased hearing to Bharat's nectarian words. And then he was very, very satisfied that he got a confirmation from not only Bharat, from so many different people. And he was very happy that the kingdom is God conscious and they are all extremely happy without any diseases, without any problems. So this is Ramachandra, Ishwaram Sarva Bhutanam. He is the well-wisher of all living entities, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. So like this, winter passed, then spring came, and Ramachandra, he spent a lot of time with his wife. And one day, Ram was carrying out the state of administration, and he would sit with Sita in the evenings under a large Ashoka tree. He would spend time with her. And like this, it went on. 2, 3 seasons passed. Again, the second round of seasons passed. Okay, almost 2 years plus passed. It is mentioned now comes the thing. दशवर्षसहस्राणि गतानि sorry, सुमहात्मनोः प्राप्तयोर्विविधा भोगान् तत शिशिरागम. So Ramachandra ruled for 10,000 years by now is mentioned. Okay. And at this time, Ramachandra saw symptoms of pregnancy in Sita, and Rama said, "My dear wife, O Vararoha, I see symptoms of pregnancy in you." Surasutopamam, I see that you are pregnant. So tell me, Apatyalabo Vaidehi Twayi me samupastita Kimchitasi Vararohe Kama Kim Triyatam Tava. What is it that you desire? I see symptoms of pregnancy in you. I have a very strong desire, she says, when she's questioned by her husband. Sita Devi says, I have a very strong desire. What is your desire? I want to go and visit the ashrams of rishis that is situated on the banks of the river Ganga. Gadya Gati Ropa Vishthan Maha Rishinamu Tejasam. She says, oh my dear Lord, these rishis, these maharishis, they are Ugra Tejasam. They had so much tejas and they were doing Ugra tapas. And that entire atmosphere was very, very serene. Phala Mula Shinam Deva Pada Muleshu Vartitum. So she said it had beautiful fruits and all these different kinds of herbs, and it was a serene atmosphere. I want to go there. I want to go. Tapovanani Punyani. There are beautiful tapovanas there. Tapovanani Punyani Drashtumichasi Raghava. I want to go and see those beautiful places. Eshame Paramukamo. This is my greatest of all desires. This is what I want. O Kakutstha, come and fulfill my desires. She says, I would like to go and offer my obeisances to the great sages who are living there. Ram replied, oh my dear Sita, very soon you will have the opportunity to visit these rishis in the forest, and Ram promised to fulfill her desire. So these are directly from Uttarakhand. When Ram asked her, what is your desire? What did she say? I have a very strong desire to visit the ashram of the great rishis that is situated on bank of river Ganges. There are tapovanas. I want to go and take association there. This is my paramakama. This is my greatest of all desires. I want to have palabhojanam. I just want to eat simple roots and fruits. O Kakutstha, please, will you satisfy my desire to be in the Tapovana? This is what she asks. And what did Ram say? He says, yes, very soon we will go there and I will fulfill your desires. So then this happened. So she was pregnant, 10,000 years had passed. She was pregnant. And later in the day, Ramachandra, he enters the royal assembly and he begins to pass his time by joking and having light conversation with his ministers and advisors. And then he turns towards Bhadra. Bhadra is the messenger of Ram, and he asks Ram, so are you going on rounds? What are the citizens talking about me these days? What are they telling about Sita? What are they talking about Bharat, Lakshman, and Shatrughna? What do they feel about my mother Kaikeyi? And what do they think about me? Actually, the king is always subject to criticism. Are they continuously criticizing me? So that is when Bhadra, he folds his palms and he says, oh my lord, actually everybody is praising your victory, that you conquered Ravana. They consider you to be the greatest of all heroes. Then Ram said, oh, Bhadra, that's nice. But then you tell me if there are any shortcomings in the kingdom. I will correct that also. Whether good or bad, people should be saying so many things, right? So tell me everything. Don't hide anything from me. That is the mark of a good messenger. So that is when Bhadra said, I don't know how to say this. I don't know whether it is right or it is wrong. But then there are some people, my lord, who are saying that Ram has performed an extraordinary feat by building a bridge across the ocean and vanquishing even this powerful Ravan. But then, how is it that it has not occurred to this Ram that he has brought to his house a woman that was once abducted by the Rakshasa king and forced by him to sit on his lap? Does Ram not feel any disgust staying with a woman for the sake of satisfying his lust? So this is the kind of words that is spoken by some people in Ayodhya. Technically, here if you see, the verses don't talk about washermen. Um, the other Puranas, the retelling of other Puranas talk about washermen. But here it is mentioned some people in Ayodhya, and I believe this is a commentary from the Madhva lineage on the Valmiki Ramayana, and they say these are the demons in disguise. They were actually sent to this place, and they were the ones, they were not the eternal Ayodhya Vasis, because the eternal Ayodhya Vasis are devotees of the Lord. But these are the demons in disguise who were there, and they were the ones who were talking bad of Sita Devi and Ramchandra. So, what were they telling? They are telling, has it never occurred to this lusty king that he is still maintaining his wife who had actually, who was living in another person's palace for so many years, for almost a full year? So, not many years, for almost a full year. So, this is what people are talking, my dear king. I don't know whether it is right or wrong to tell you, but then since you asked me, I am telling you. So then when Ramchandra heard this, he was shocked. Okay. And Bhadra continued to say, this is what people are saying. And they are also saying that whatever a king does, the subjects must follow. So now, do we also have to tolerate unfaithfulness from our wives? So this is another question the people were asking. So Bhadra tells, oh my lord, such kind of words people are talking in Ayodhya about you. Ram felt very, very shocked. This is the words that they say. I'm trying to move the screen. Yeah. Yeah. Yata hi kurute raja praja tamanu vartate. That means as the Raja is doing, the Praja will also do. So all of us have to tolerate unfaithfulness from our wives. Is that what the Raja is trying to teach us? These are the words that are talked by some people in the kingdom. So Naramchandra was very shocked. He was dismayed. He asked other ministers who were there if what Bhadra was speaking was correct or not. And all of them confirmed, yes, such gossip is going on. So then he called about all his brothers. He called for all his brothers, and he explained to his brothers about the condition and what people are talking about him and Sita. And he breaks down with his in front of his brothers, and he tells, my wife Sita, she had to undergo great distress. She had to undergo even entering fire in the assembly of demigods and sages just to prove her innocence so that she would be accepted by the people. That is the reason she had to go through all this. She didn't enter fire to prove to me, because I was anyhow completely aware of her. But then to prove to the citizens, she had to do this. And not only that, she was declared to be completely innocent in the presence of everyone. Chandra Adityo. Cha, here the verse goes, even in the presence of Chandra and Aditya, Cha Samsheta Suranam Sannidhipura. That is in the sannidhi of all the demigods, the sun and the moon and everybody, in the assembly of rishis, Rishinam Chaiva Sarvesham Amam Apapam. She was declared Apapam. Apapam Janakatmajam. This Janakatmaja was declared as sinless, not in presence of some ordinary people, in the presence of demigods. And look at this condition. Antaratma cha meveti Sitam Shuddha Yashaswini. Antaratma cha mam vedi. I know very well. In my Antaratma, Sita Shuddhatma Yashaswini. She is a very pure soul. She is Yashaswini. She's such a great personality. Tato grihitva vaidehim Ayodhyam agatah. Only after doing all this, only after she entered fire, she proved to the world about her purity and innocence. And I know very well from the beginning in my mind that my Sita is pure. After all this, then I brought her to Ayodhya so that people will not talk about her. But then what is happening now? He was completely shocked. He was dismayed. So he was like, what is happening to her? She entered fire, she did all this, and now people are still talking. Actually, Ram, he knew very well about Sita's innocence, her purity, whatnot. And but however, the situation was Ram was the king. The people already declared, if Yata Raja Tata Praja. He is behaving like this, so we will also behave like this. Is this what the king is teaching us? So with power comes responsibility. Leadership is not a power to enjoy. The idea is that if we become enjoyers in the name of leadership, we become a very exploitative person and a very miserable leader. But leadership means very, very serious, significant responsibility to do service to others. A leader should work in the spirit of service. This is all directly from Guru Maharaj. Not that I have these realizations, I'm just repeating. But he says, taking responsibility of others means to be selfless. Otherwise, you cannot take responsibility of others. You can never be a leader. So, to be a leader, one has to put aside his own well being and desires and think of it as secondary, his desires, his well-being, all that. But what is primary? Whatever is best for the people who are looking up to us. So leadership means responsibility, and responsibility means what? Sacrifices. You have to do sacrifices. You have to keep your own happiness, your pleasure, your family, everything aside. And it means a lot of crying, Guru Maharaj says. Leadership means sacrifices, and sacrifices means a lot of crying. This is what Ramchandra is teaching the world. He's saying, okay, I am Raja, I've taken up this position, there are people looking up to me. I cannot be a source of bad inspiration once I have taken up this position. It means even if I have to sacrifice my own happiness, I have to do it. This is the underlying theme of Ramayana: leadership, sacrifice, and sadness, shoka. So, after a lot of deliberation, he calls for Lakshman. So, he calls for Lakshman, and Ram said, Lakshman, my dear Lakshmana, I have to say something that is very, very painful to you, but please listen to me with great care and attention. I just learned that many of the citizens are criticizing me for bringing back Sita from Lanka. Even after killing Ravan, I was so fearful how people will receive Sita. I didn't want to hear any blasphemy against her. It is extremely painful to me. That is the reason, even when she entered fire, I kept quiet so that the people will be convinced and I can take her to Ayodhya happily. He says, Oh Lakshman, as long as one's conduct is a subject of rumors, he will have to suffer great humiliation and defamation. I'm ready to give up my life if needed. And I actually now, he says, I feel like I'm drowning in an ocean of sorrow and I've not experienced such terrible misfortune. But then at this point in time, I have to take certain clear decisions. He said, Lakshmana, tomorrow at dawn, I want you to take Sita to the banks of the river Ganga and give her a tour of all the ashrams of the great rishis because she specifically requested for this. She requested for this. She said, I want to go to see the ashrams of great rishis. You can take her tomorrow. And specifically, he says, take her to Valmiki ashram. So why does he say Valmiki ashram? This is again commentaries from, he says, see, Gadya Ghayastu Pare Pare Valmikestu Mahatmana. Go specifically to the ashram of Valmiki. The commentators say because Valmiki is her brother, Sita's brother. How is, when a girl is pregnant, she goes to her mother's house or her parental house. Now, who is the mother of Sita Devi? Bhumi Devi. So she obviously she's not going to go inside Bhumi right now. But then where else can she go? She can go to her sibling's house. And who's her sibling? It is Valmiki. How come Valmiki is her sibling? Valmika means anthill, right? And where does that? Where is an anthill formed? An anthill is formed from earth, and Valmiki emerged from the anthill, right? Similarly, Sita emerged from within the earth. So they are like siblings. So he says specifically, you take her to Valmiki ashram and she will be safe there. And this is the place chosen for her. It is like her mother's place. So please, Lakshman, you should carry out my order without any argument. Even if you hesitate a little bit, I will not be happy. So, just a little while ago, Sita told me that she wanted to visit all the ashrams along the banks of the river Ganga. So, now you go and fulfill her desire. So, with that, we'll stop here. We'll think about the remaining later, but we'll stop here and we'll continue next class. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandvat pranams. What a wonderful class. I cannot wait till the next week. It was so interesting, Mataji. Mataji, I had read this one version that actually Ram did not want to kind of give up Sita, but Sita also wanted to leave. I don't know why it's a real version, or I don't know if it's a made up version. And also
Yeah.
that the asuras who were remaining after the war of Lanka, it seems Shurpanakha and there were some asuras remaining. I don't know if this is true again, but I've come across this version that Shurpanakha sent his asuras in the guise of Ayodhya Vasis, so that they could keep telling these things, and at every corner of Ayodhya, like create a gossip and poison the minds and kind of create this kind of environment for that Sita is polluted kind of. So I don't know about this. I've come across this version, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. These two in one sense are correct. It was Sita's desire to go even before Ram had mentioned. We'll come to that in a minute because commentaries also talk about it. That is right. Because Sita had already heard the gossip. Yeah. And it was that's the reason why she had herself requested that she wants to go to the sages ashram. These are all there in the commentaries, which is true. But the way the story is laid out is it's still not revealed.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to
Yeah.
reveal it right now, but
Yeah, and
this is
also about the demoniac people, yeah, that is also a part of commentaries, but specifically they don't say Shurpanaka, but maybe some other version of Ramayana says it's Shurpanaka who sent them,
maybe,
but
yeah,
then
that's what I
yeah.
don't know which version again.
Yeah,
Maybe you can
yeah.
make it
But
clear.
definitely that is the truth, and they were some people who were some demoniac forces who were sent specifically to create some disorder so that the pastime could move.
I don't know, Mataji, if this is right, but Lavanasur was killed by Shatrughna
Yeah,
during this when Ram and Sita were already ruling. I don't know
yeah,
if
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, Lavanasur was killed by Shatrughna, that's right.
But it was when Ram and Sita were already ruling. I mean, after the war.
No, 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 no. Lavanasur killed. Lavanasur was killed by Shatrughna when Sita was pregnant and she was in Valmiki ashram, simply
Okay.
because Shatrughna, he goes and lives for 12 years in Mathura and he comes back and that time he sees that Lavakusha have grown up. So when he's going, he stops at Valmiki ashram. He sees the delivery. He's there during the delivery of the twins.
Oh,
Shatrughna is there. Yeah, yeah. Uttara Kanda tells all that.
that's
Shatrughna was there during delivery. Not that he went inside the delivery room, but he was there.
yeah.
And
Of
he
course, they are not
yeah,
allowed to go inside the
yeah,
delivery room. Yeah.
yeah.
But
But
yeah, it was like Sita was not kind of completely abandoned. She was taken care of, even though not directly by Ram, but it was like, she was it was arranged for her. She was left in an ashram, not somewhere in the jungle, as somewhere you come across. Oh, I mean, some people, especially people who fight for women's rights, kind of, they say Sita was left in the forest. But when we come across this Valmiki version of the Ramayana, you really say that it was an arrangement, sort of. I mean, I don't
yes.
know.
It was an arrangement. And that also commentators say it was a clear arrangement. He didn't abandon her. He specifically told Lakshman she should be there. She should be in that care. Yes.
I thought, yeah. So nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful service. And I'm waiting for the next version, next session. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not even reading the Sanskrit verses. I couldn't. Okay. move it with the flow, but all the verses are quoted in the slide. So whenever you want, wherever you want, you can refer them. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hemangi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my pranams to you. Beautiful class. I don't know if I understood or heard correctly, but just correct me if I'm wrong. It like Vedavati was born as Sita when she was found at the tip of that hull as this was going through the field and was born as Sita. But then I thought when Sita became Maya Sita going through the fire, that's when Maya Sita was Vedvati.
Yeah, right. So this is inconceivable. The same Sita, she can become the real Sita and the Maya Sita. Mm. Interchangeably, it's inconceivable. But the reason why in Uttarakhanda it is mentioned that the same Vedavati later comes as Janakatmaja, it is more like even when they talk about Padma Samudbhava or they talk about the Sita Devi, they say directly she is non-different from Lakshmi herself, like an Amsha of Lakshmi. Um, yeah, you have a good question, Mataji, but different sections talk about it differently. But we should understand, just like Mahamaya and Yogamaya are in one sense depending on the situation. The same Mahamaya can become Yogamaya, Yogamaya can become like Mahamaya. Right? We hear this also in our Krishna conscious philosophy that um, both are energies of the Lord. Similarly, this Maya Sita and original Sita, actually, they are one personality. Then you can ask further questions like if Maya Sita was the one in Lanka, why did she talk about things that happened with her and Ram to Hanuman so openly and so on? We should not think them to be two separate personalities. It is just the function and the mood in which they are. Uh, Am I making sense? Like
Yeah,
it
yes,
is,
Mataji.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. That's what it is.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Very
It's
helpful. All right.
how they behave or how it plays out. Yeah.
Right, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Praladananda Prabhu. Praladananda Prabhu.
Mata, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Dhanur Pranamata.
Then
I had heard in one of the lectures of Sripada Radhagovinda Swami that Lord Rama was running Ram Rajya so perfectly that there was no need of any court of justice or any kind of thing. But actually, one day a dog appeared.
yeah, that will also come. That story will come.
Did that come? Okay, yeah, that was I was just trying to do that
Yeah.
to find out whether it is authentic or not like that. Okay, thank
Yes,
you,
it is
Mata.
authentic.
We'll listen
Yes.
that later. Okay, Hari Bol.
Yeah. Ramarajya is very beautiful. Right after Sita has left, then he resumes Ramarajya, and that time you will see some incidents like the dog, and then you will see the incidents of Shambhuka, the killing of Shambhuka, all that will come. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mata. Hari Bol.
Yeah.
Mataji, one quick question.
Mm.
Mataji, you talked about Padma Samudbhava. I
Mm.
mean, how was she born? Anything, to whom was she born and how was she
She
abandoned?
all of them are always appearing on lotuses or from earth. They never have birth from a womb. Never. Gods of
Okay.
fortune will never be born from a womb.
Okay, so she was born in a lotus flower or something like that.
Just like Radharani. Everybody, they just
Okay,
appear.
and then she was abandoned by whom? Who took her and who abandoned her?
It is more like she was floating in a river or something where Ravan was there and Ravan picked her. And he wanted to take her, but then the minister said, just throw the baby away. No, it's going to be, she'll be the cause of the destruction of Lanka. Just
Okay.
abandon like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, such commentary. I mean, again, these commentaries are directly out of other Puranas. Yeah.
Yeah, by Govinda Raja, as you said, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Mataji. Yeah. And one more question, Mataji. Like you said that Wali stayed in Kishkinda for 1 month. No, who
Not
stayed in
Vali.
Kishkinda?
Ravan's.
Ravana stayed in Kishkinda. Sorry. What am I talking? Ravana stayed in Kishkinda for 1 month. But that was not when he was he had kidnapped Sita, right? That was before that.
Much before, much before.
Okay. So no confusion. Okay.
No,
All
no.
right, Mataji. Just to clarify. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Kiran Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Haribol Mataji.
Please accept my obeisances. It was a very beautiful class, very engaging class, I must say. I have a question. Now, Sita Mata went to Valmiki's ashram, right? Is there any connection between Valmiki Ramayana and Valmiki's ashram that Sita went to?
Yeah, they're all the same.
So he's the one who wrote it, and while she was there?
Yes.
I see. All right. Thank you, Mataji.
He begins the writing the Ramayana only after she comes there.
I see.
Yeah, it's interesting that actually the Ramayana begins only from the Uttara Kanda. I mean, meaning the time frame of the Uttara Kanda is when the Ramayana was actually was documented by Valmiki. Because the first verse of the Valmiki Ramayana begins Konasmin Sampratam, not the first verse, but Valmiki Pariprachya, Valmiki Naradam Paripaprachya, Valmiki Konasmin Sampratam Loki Gunavan Kastya. No. The first verse it begins with that Narada had questions to what am I saying? Valmiki had questions to Narada Muni when Narada Muni appeared near his ashram. And then he asks the question, who's one that has all these 16 different qualities? This is the first chapter, first few verses of Ramayana. Why he had that doubt? Who's the one who has 16 different auspicious qualities? Doesn't he know Ram has these qualities? He had the doubt because Sita was left. It starts with a controversy, the Ramayana. Yeah.
I see. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Haribol. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta